amazing co-hosts I could ever ask for in the whole wide world. Jackie and Ollie are with me today.
Hey!
Hey!
We're clearly shy today. Are we? We're live. Okay.
So sorry. It's because I'm trying. You guys, we really miss the Afterbuzz engineers. I'm trying to like engineer at the same time, and I'm not very good at it. So I really apologize.
You're doing amazing, Jackie.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'm got to turn my volume down on my phone. I could hear us. And if you guys can, real quick, take a moment to share this link and on your Facebook pages and retweet it so we get more people in the chat room. We'd love to have some new people. Last I looked, we were only 4 subscribers away from 200. So if you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button. I'm not sure what side you see this on, but whatever side it's on, click on it and follow us so you know when we go live. We're here every Sunday at 3 o'clock to recap each week of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. Today we are recapping episode 5, The Bag Ball, ladies and gentlemen. What did we think of the episode?
I loved it. I like an episode where queens have to make their own clothing. You kind of see, I still don't know why we're in season 13 and people have not taken sewing classes. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, don't you know that you're coming to RuPaul's Drag Race?
Mm-hmm.
But I love seeing a good sewing challenge. So,
Ollie, what did you think overall?
Yeah, I really like the challenge of actually having to construct a garment out of bags. I thought that was something I don't think that's been done on Drag Race before. Mm-hmm. I like Jackie. I enjoy like the unconventional challenges. But what stresses me out, I sound like a broken record, is when they do the ball challenge so early, because then we have so many looks. As a reviewer, as a normal viewer of Drag Race, I'm like, oh yay, so many looks. We love the looks. But then reviewing it is just like, oh my God, so many gosh darn looks to go through.
Yeah.
So I always just like hated that aspect. But finally we got some drama. We're gonna talk about it. I'm super excited to hear what you have to say. But it was a really good week. I really enjoyed this week. It's probably my favorite part of the season so far.
We got plenty of drama. And speaking of, we know that that's why you all turned in to hear about the Kandy and Tamisha drama, which we will be discussing, but not till later. We're going to make you stick around and listen to our opinions about other things before we get to that, because we ain't dumb. I think Tez is in the chat, or he said he was going to try and join us in the chat. So keep an eye out for Tez in the chat. I don't know if
Dallas, for those of you, like there are people in the chat asking where Jayla and Tez are. They're not fired. They're not going anywhere. Tez is on vacation in Dallas, and Jayla's taking a short hiatus from the show to promote her nomination for her Queerty Award. So once the Queerties have aired, she will be back.
Yeah, and be sure to go vote for her.
Go vote for her.
I think you get a Queerty. I know it's on Twitter. I'm sure she's Instagrammed it, so I'm sure she's happy to send you that link if you ask.
Yes, and I've tweeted it, but if you go to Twitter at Queerty, I think it is, or just Google the Queerties, you can like literally go in and start looking at the different categories.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Let's just recap what happened last week. Previously on RuPaul's Drag Race, it was the first elimination episode. The queens were separated into groups by Ru to do over-the-top acting in 3 RuPaul Mark Channel original holiday movies. Our top queen was Simone. It was her second win of the season. And our bottom 2 queens were Denali and Kimora Hall. And a Kimora Hall sashayed away. Which brings us to today and this episode. So this is again the same day of the elimination. The queens come back in the room and have their discussion now, wipe the name off the board. it was setting the tone for what was going to be happening later in the episode, because Kandy chimed in immediately to tell everybody that she didn't think that the right people were in the bottom. And I will point out that it was Olivia who says, well, then who do you think should have gone home? Or who do you think was in the bottom? So she actually didn't just come out. I mean, she did come out and say, I didn't think the right people were in the bottom, but it was Olivia that pushed her to say who she thought it was, which was Elliot. And I'll point out now for later that again, it was Olivia who kind of asked Kandy things when she got into it with Elliot in the Untucked. So Olivia may not be as nice as she's appearing to be. She may be a little bit of a shit stirrer. And Tamisha, that was when Tamisha chimed in and told her to bring it down because she was saying that Simone was her biggest threat. Thoughts on that?
You mean on that or on what happened in Untucked?
No, just that whole, like her, we'll get into more later, but just this, that, I guess that Tamisha was like, I understand what Tamisha was saying. It's like, it is kind of like, when you say that someone's your biggest threat, that means you're dismissing everybody else. So I think that was Tamisha's point, whether that's what was exactly said or not, and she can tweet me and tell me if I'm wrong, but that was what I got out of it. And I think she had every right to say that. And I think that she did the right thing in chiming in and saying, and then here's the thing, which we'll get into more later. Kandy says she wants people to tell her and call her out on things. Well, Tamisha was. So.
Right.
I
agree. Sorry, go, Jackie.
I'm so sorry. I also think she had a good point where she was saying, you've barely seen any of us competing, so they've only had, I think, like for the whole group of them, like two challenges. So, how are you going to go off of that? Especially when you look at some of the people who have made it to either win or be in the top 3. Sometimes they're like sly underdogs that you might not have had as your top pick in the beginning.
Yeah. Hello. Someone's watching in London. Hello to our London.
Chucky Chuck. Yeah, I love Chucky Chuck says, how can you say a biggest threat with one elimination? Way too soon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, also adding on to that, crap, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It's almost as if you want to be like underestimated because like you kind of mentioned before, you don't want that big target on you. And look what happened. She said Simone was your biggest threat. She wasn't your biggest threat in this episode, Kandy.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of like, well, she was safe because of her other looks. Talk about that more later. But yeah, so you can never really say who's your biggest threat because you might be here one week, you're gone the next, basically. So
yeah,
Heidi Klum said something like that on Project Runway.
Yeah. Oh, we got somebody watching in Germany too. We're so international.
We're so international.
Oh, guten Tag. Or guten Abend. It's probably Abend. Guten Abend. Yeah, no, and again, we're going to get into this a lot more later. So stay tuned for the drama. So then we did have a mini challenge. Sorry, my chihuahua is out of control right now. Ru was throwing a birthday party to celebrate the inner child in all of us. They had to shake, rattle, and roll for Baby Got Back. And they had 20 minutes to get into baby drag. The most bouncing and misbehaving baby wins. What did you guys think? Ollie, you go first.
I was just so uncomfortable during the entire thing. Like, it was, what is this? I just didn't enjoy it. I cringed through it. Sure, it was funny, but yeah, no comment.
I actually thought it was really funny. I thought it was like, they've done a lot of these like mini quick drag challenges. And so you're kind of constrained with like coming up with new ideas for that. And so I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny mostly because it's like, it's awkward because you're having people like twerk as babies, and that's like the humor in it, where you're like, this is weird but amusing.
Yeah. Who is this? I think this is our German friend. Conspiracy theory. They changed the challenge to a ball because Tamisha told Kandy that she's a threat also. Usually a dancing mini challenge has a dancing maxi challenge.
I don't know about that from a production standpoint though, because
You know the dick in the soup happens. I don't know if it's that, like, we're day of, they're like, oh, let's switch it to this, you know, whatever. I don't know. Interesting conspiracy theory though. Very interesting. All right, so that, yeah, the Lala Ree won the baby challenge, which I thought was well deserved.
yeah, I did too.
Anything else that you thought stood out?
I thought Rosé stood out with her double, like she had like a baby back front thing going on. That was just funny. It was a funny visual.
Oh. Ollie, anybody that stood out for you?
I just wanted it to end. I think I just don't like babies. That's what it is. I don't like babies. I like baby animals, but human babies, not for me.
See, I'm glad that you brought up Rosé, because I have this, you know, it was just like, it's a mini challenge where you're just supposed to act stupid, have fun, and she's got to do choreographed dancing. And it frustrates me because I'm just like, I just want her to stop and just go have fun. You have a baby on your back. What, you know what I mean? Like, why are we doing choreographed dance moves in there? Like, it just frustrates me, because it's like I think those mini challenges are what help us see people kind of come out of their shell and, you know, be a little bit more themselves and not be so, you know, I got to be perfect. I got to sound great, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, let it go. You have 20 minutes to get into this. We know you're not going to look amazing. Just throw on some pink cheeks and a bow and go. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my opinion. Whatever. Doesn't matter. All right. So then let's get to the Maxi challenge. We're throwing a ball, the bag ball. So they had to do 3 looks. A mixed bag look, which was a punny look that included bag in the title. The second look was money bags. And then the third look, which was from scratch, a high fashion show-stopping look made entirely out of bags. So there was, you know, Ru did walk through the room and pulled some people over and had discussions and stuff with them. This is also when it was finally discussed about Tamisha and Lala and the drag mother relationship. So we found out that Tamisha actually put Lala Ree in drag for her very first time, and then it wasn't until 5 or 6 years later that Lala started doing it again professionally and like legitimately. I loved that Tamisha said she's an Ihman at heart.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. What do you guys think?
I'm just glad we got the explanation that we were kind of waiting for. Yeah. So I like the finishing of that thread.
Yeah.
I expected a little bit more though. Like, I'm glad we finally addressed it, but I was like, she kind of like, there was no, I don't know. I felt like they weren't excited to see each other, but maybe there's something we didn't see. Maybe they knew they were both on the season, you know? But yeah. I was expecting more of like, oh my God, you're here. Or I don't know. It was just like, oh yeah, that's like my drag mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my daughter. But it's glad they finally addressed it.
Well, she did say, Lala also said that she thought that this happened for a reason, for them to reconnect and stuff like that. So yeah, every episode I fall in love with both of them more and more. I just think they're 2 wonderful, amazingly talented queens, and I'm loving getting to know them. And I really truly do love both of them more than
No, I'm just saying, like, they're setting something up there too.
They're setting up a lip sync between Lala and Tamisha, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know how this goes.
Right, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
or after today's episode, Kandy and Tamisha or something like that.
Right.
Also, the ball, the ballroom shows, I guess, were discussed, and Utica was saying how she didn't have ballroom in her town, so Tamisha stepped up and kind of gave them all a ball with the help of Lala, Joey, and Denali, which I thought was great. I think ball should get more. I'm actually surprised they haven't had, like, I know they do the ball challenges where they do the costumes, but I would love for them to have like someone from the ball scene come in and like do a legit ball with them and like be like, this is what this came from. Because you know how I am. I love when we delve into LGBTQ plus history and those kind of things. So I think that would be just an amazing challenge. What did you guys think?
I think so too. I thought it was, I agree with you where I thought it was cute and fun that they did like a little ball for Utica. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, especially I love that you bring that up. I'd love for a future challenge, or maybe in this season, maybe next season, to really shed more of a like an actual spotlight on a ball. Yeah, you can say this is a bag ball, but like actually have like people like Isis King or Laomi, who's on Legendary, which is an incredible HBO show. You know, you have all these like resources and media to watch these balls, like Paris is Burning. If you're Pose, like there's just so much that is really putting a spotlight on the ball scene. So I like that drag is kind of like going towards that direction as well. So it needs to happen. It should happen.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is something I'll get into more later as well, but just, I remember when I started doing drag, obviously I wasn't the first person to start doing drag. There were drag queens that came before me that I used to go watch, and they inspired me to want to do it because I enjoyed watching them. I liked what they did, but then I had my own ideas and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if they did this. Oh, I wish they would do more of that, which is what makes you want to do drag and get involved in it. We talked about this, Jackie, I think, when we were rewatching season 1 and they had that video of drag queens from history. I mean, they had like, Jackie Beat and Coco Peru, people that I know, some people I didn't know, Hollywood Lawn. Again, I wish they would be a little more respectful of the queens that came before. And I mean, obviously the queens can say whatever they want about a queen who's over 40 that walks into the workroom, and make comments that she's old and blah, 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 and tired, and this is a new world and a new drag, da, da, da. But could you imagine if I started doing drag and went into places and clubs and told those queens who came before me that, oh, because I'm younger, I'm better, and I know, and this is the new drag, and blah, blah, blah. No.
Well, we said this when we were talking about Pork Chop, where it's like Pork Chop, even during her season, had been doing drag for a very long time and talks about getting acid thrown in her face. And it's like these queens who came before, it's not just that, respecting someone who's been doing something for a long time. It's like a lot of these people, especially if you've been doing it for like 20 or 30 years, you've been doing it in an environment where it's literally not safe for you to do it. And now, thanks to, there's like RuPaul's Drag Race and shows like Legendary and Pose. So you have this culture where it's in the zeitgeist, like everybody can see it. But I do think there is a thank you to say for the people who are going before you, who it was literally dangerous for them to be doing this. And they were like, no, I'm going to do this because it means so much to me. And I think that's why I think as a group, we really gravitate towards Tamisha, because it's not just a respect for saying, oh, you've done this for a long time. It's a respect for saying you did this when it was more dangerous to do this.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing that because you paved the way for other people.
Ollie?
No, I agree 100%. And I think this episode made me just fall for Amisha even more, how she just stood her ground and just really I think she kind of made that message very clear in this episode. And I'm trying not to skip ahead, but I stand her, and it's important to obviously respect the people who paved the way, so
Well,
I mean, I can't really emphasize that enough.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And again, I know we keep saying this, we're going to get to more of this later, but we're setting this up because it's going to be a good conversation later. But, and I've said this before, when I would go out in drag, and I could pull one of these books off a shelf and pull up a picture from, 1998 when I first started doing drag, and I looked like shit. Now I can say that. But at the time, so I get Kandy's, I look fierce to the, because I always say that. When you're in it, when you're doing it, when you're in the early stages of it, you still think you're fierce. You think you're amazing. You think no one can touch you. This is the best look on the strip. I get that. But again, and what Tamisha's talking about is the arrogance, the dismissing other people because you think that you're the shit, It's like, well, you're safe. And you could be barely safe. Maybe you were number 4, girl. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get into it more later. Kandy also talks more about her crush on Joey J and questions Joey J's taste level. Ollie, why are you shaking?
That's very sad. No, I just think it's so
very
sad.
Hot kettle. I don't know.
Joey J is adorable. Oh my God, yes, Jackie. But also, I kind of changing gears. It's sad that Joey J had no storyline at all. And this is the episode where Joey J goes home. So that was literally, I tweeted this like, wow, not Joey J's storyline being the crush of Kandy Muse. Like that was it. And so it was unfortunate that like the fight kind of overshadowed Joey J's like time. Because I feel like every time a queen gets eliminated, they should kind of like have something, like a send-off, I suppose. Mm-hmm. It made sense for Joey J to go home because of lip sync, but it was just sad that Joey J was just very like, that was it,
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know.
Who is this? Ken. Hi, Ken. He just wrote, because I was trying to look to see if Aja was making any comments about Kandy on social media, but I don't think she's really on. But Ken says, I think Aja was right about what she said about Kandy. Ken, can you say what that was? Because I don't know what it was that she said about Kandy. Because I'm curious to know what she says. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention for the runway, and it's with the second look, with the money bags look, Coach creates bags. Okay, first of all, if anyone's looking for something to send Lorayne love for Christmas, Mama wants one of those Coach bags made for drag queens. My jaw hit the floor. I was like,
they went from like, I remember when you like season 1, I can't even remember what the prize was anymore in season 1, but it's like, you didn't get anything for winning anything except for maybe immunity.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's not just like you get prizes for winning something. I think, the mini challenge win was like a $2,000 gift certificate to something. But now you literally have Coach just giving them bags, which is phenomenal.
I black, if anyone wants to get me one in black, please. I was floored by that. I was just like, that I have a Coach wallet, actually, by the way, because it was the cheapest thing I could buy at Coach, but because that's how I roll. All right, so let's get to the runways. We're not going to be throwing up pictures because we don't have them.
Also, I can't do it because I'm not an engineer. I'm sorry.
Totally fine. We'll do our best to kind of describe them as we're talking about them. So the categories, mixed bag, money bags, and gag us with your baggers were the themes. Nicole Byer returned as a guest judge, who I think should be a permanent judge.
She should. Like, everything she says is hilarious. Her voice is so cute. It's so cute. Like, she should be a permanent judge. She's so amusing.
Totally, I loved it. Everybody got what they wanted. Carson's returned as well. Looks like he'll be on next week as well. And Lonnie Love will be back next week as well. I will say this, I just wanted to mention this because I had said earlier that I felt like the judges were being like super nice to everybody in like the first couple episodes. I'm gonna quote Michelle Visage here, and I'll admit when I'm wrong, but I do feel like it is a little less angry and more constructive. Do you guys notice that?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, I just completely agree. It's like past seasons we've had like, I don't like green, I don't like a jumpsuit. It's like we don't there's no explanation, or in the past there has been no explanation for some of these critiques, or no way of, well, here's how you can improve. You know, and I agree with your assessment, is that it seems to be somebody gave them the note of like, okay, if you're going to critique the queens, you have to give them either a reason why you're saying that other than just like, I don't like blank, or a way to improve upon that.
Yes. Like, for example, even like Michelle, when she said to Tamisha that she thought her makeup was too harsh, she said, maybe talk to some of the other queens and see if they can help you, blend it better or smooth it out more. Like, I would rather hear that. I also think, and I'm wondering if they're realizing that their nastiness is what is kind of bleeding into the fan base. You know what I mean? Because they're saying it, so then the fans think that they can say it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I don't know that that's the case. I'm just completely speculating. But go ahead, Ollie.
Right. No, I feel like I agree. I feel like a good example of that would be like, remember All Stars 5 with Shay's mock look, and then Ross said it was crappy, and the fandom like destroyed Ross. They were like, what? I can't believe you said that about her look. Remember the pink mock look? So I think the judges are very like conscious now of what they're saying because of this crazy ass toxic fandom, So, and I think like probably the producers do help them out a little bit, like about their certain parts of their look, or maybe, for storyline purposes. So yeah, I can totally see that.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I appreciate it, and I hope that they stick with it, because again, I would rather Michelle say something like she said today, talk to them. Maybe somebody can help you do this. Or, hey, queens, we want to see her with bigger hips and more of a female physique, I would love to see that. Help her out. You know what I mean? Like encouraging them to be more helpful, because that's truly what it is like in the drag community. When I want to do something, I reach out to Raven or somebody else that I know, or Nina or Virginia, and I say, hey girl, I saw you did this. How did you do that? Where did you get this? Like, that's what we do. It's the only way you're going to learn, So I'm glad that they're doing it. I'm just 100% behind it. And
I also like, with Joey J, they were like, Michelle was like, even saying, I think last week, oh, like, it's okay that you do no wigs, but we like to see versatility. So just keep that in mind. And Joey J did that. Yeah. We only got one look was Joey J's natural hair. Yeah. So they're definitely nicer, but I like it. I really do like that, the constructive criticism rather than the things that could be taken out of context, or things that could be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. Something like Santino would say back in the day, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It just seems more professional, and they just have the queen's hearts at mind,
Yeah. I was gonna say too, I know, Ollie, I think you're watching UK. There was a big thing about the judges saying certain things to the queens on the runway, and about like the size of their shoulders, and wanting one queen to have more of a hourglass figure and stuff like that. Some queens are saying that that's kind of hypocritical, that drag should be what you want it to be, and some women have big shoulders and some women are flat chested, so why should I have to wear boobs and this and that? I will defend the show in the regard that it's a competition, And if a judge says, I want to see you with a more female form, then they're missing something from you. So that's what they're going to in their head that they want to see. No one's saying you have to wear a corset and hips for the rest of your existence, but for the moment while you're on that stage, you need to present your, and I get, you know, everybody, they always go on and say, I want to be me. I want to be me. You know, don't tell me what color wig to wear, or to wear a wig, or to do this or to do that. No one's telling them that they're not good the way that they are. Again, I think it's how it's phrased and how it's presented, which it seems like they're working on.
But I also kind of think of this a different way too, because there's a difference between saying, this is my aesthetic because I've worked a couple of different ways before, and then I've come to this. Like I think of Picasso. It's like Picasso could in his time actually like paint a realistic looking painting, but then he came to the kind of like Cubist way of painting after having done that. So what you don't want to be seen as is a queen who's saying like, okay, I only wear blonde wigs because that's what I got in my bag. Okay, well, that's not a good excuse. Like you need to have tried all these other things and then said, oh, okay, I came to this for a reason because I did all these other things and I realized this is like what I'm about. Right. You know? And so I do think that some of the judging is pushing them to think about those boundaries. Like, well, have you tried this? What about this? Maybe you would like this, you know, things that could help their aesthetic other than just like, because it can come off as laziness if, and I'm not trying to pick on Joey J, but if you're a person who's coming out in your regular boy hair all the time, then it's like, okay, are you doing that because you've tried these other things and then you found your aesthetic this way? Or are you doing that because it's easier to do?
Yeah. Well, and even if you think about it, you know, if someone is a ballet dancer, they take other forms of dance usually, because they know that that will help influence that, you know. And even, you know, I said this too, is when I said when I started realizing people actually watched our YouTube videos, and it was kind of like hard for me to take that people were giving me bad critiques on my drag, because my friends don't do that. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you look fabulous, whether I do or I don't. But just from having those comments, it made me go, well, I don't want them to, like, I want to show them that I can do other things. You know, I'm doing these things for whatever reason I had in my head. You know, maybe I got the booking last minute. So I was like, oh, well, I don't have time to go out. I got to wear this wig again. I got to wear these shoes again. Then on YouTube, I get called out because I'm wearing the same wig I wore the last time I was at the show. Well, girl, they also called me an hour before the show. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't thinking of those things. So I think it does push you, you know, and even like when I do drag for this, you know, I'm so excited to do it now because I go, okay, well, I try to find something in there that I haven't worn in a long time, or I never wore, or I'm going through my wigs and going, okay, what can I do with this to inspire me, to make me do something new? And I think I think if they do keep presenting it this way, it'll be more helpful. For the people in the chat who are commenting, the first two looks they were given and they brought, and then the third look was made there. So they did get a list of things to bring. So how should we do this? Because there are a lot of costumes, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm okay with doing tops and bottoms.
Of each look?
Of each category.
Each category? Okay. So then you go first with the mixed bag looks. Jackie, what were your tops and bottoms of mixed bag? And say what their bag was, like if you can kind of describe it if you can.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites, and this is because like you guys know, I love me some big cartoon boobies. I love Simone's fun bags. And I know she said that, I think it was like a Diana Ross inspiration, which I thought was fun. And then I love that she popped them at the end. I thought it was so like just perfectly campy. And that was one of my favorites. I I also loved Got Mixed body bag. It was like cool and gross. I love that the intestine was like hanging down in a suggestive sort of way. I thought that was like funny.
Mhm.
And I actually also loved Rosé's bagpipes look. Chucky Chuck, who's one of our fans, is saying, okay, is she always going to just do stuff along the sleeves? This one, I gave her a pass because if you were actually like wearing bagpipes, that would be the effect that it would give, would be like, they would look kind of like that. So that I thought was appropriate for that one. But if she comes out with like more outfits with just shit on her sleeves, then we're going to be like, okay, that's enough.
How do you really feel, Jackie? Ollie, what did you think of category 1? Who are your standouts?
I agree. I really like Simone. Simone's was so much fun. The Diana Ross reference. I love that she popped in, like you said. That's how you do balloons right. Sorry, Drag Race UK. If you watch, you know what I'm talking about.
Can I
season 2.
ask a question real quick? Because both of you liked that one, and it was probably one of my least favorites. Not because I didn't think it was good, but I just didn't get how it fit the challenge.
Boobs are fun bags.
Huh?
Fun bags. Like the term for fake boobs is fun bags.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. And she says that too. So she's referencing like.
You can tell how much I'm around boobs.
Yeah, I don't even like boobs, but I liked it. I was like, yes, Simone. I loved. I
don't get it. Okay, now that I get that, okay, then it's fine. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Ollie, I just had to ask.
Tamisha's old bag was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
You know, like I really enjoyed that. I pretty much agree with Jackie. Like Rosé looked great. That was probably, and I have not liked Rosé's looks this season. I feel like they've been kind of like, I don't want to like be mean, but like I just haven't liked her looks. But I really like the bagpipe look. I thought that was like so like clean and so strongly executed from her. And I really liked Utica's poodle, the doggy bag one. And I think someone said on the runway that it was like too campy, and I'm like, or something. I guess like she seems to be getting I'm afraid for her just because the critique that she's starting to get is that she's too campy or too. I don't know if anyone has noticed that, but I'm fearful for that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think
those are my top.
That annoyed me about that critique, because I actually like, I might have picked 3 favorites out of this, but I actually did like most of this particular category. I thought it was a strong one. But the reason I see that as a dumb thing is because no one would say that to Tina Burner. Like, so why are they saying it to Utica?
And they didn't, and even Got Mick. If you go back and watch Got Mick's runways, she's not acting fierce. She's kind of like, she was doing like the Matrix thing in her one outfit and was like, you know, she just always has this like boppy little, like she's not like Raja on the runway. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I agree with you on that, Ollie. Because when she said that, I was like, no. And her last look, she came out 1000% fierce. She didn't give any funny faces. She brought that thing down. She just had that look in her eye. Like, sorry, Rue, I disagree with that one. No, I actually loved Joey J's. And this,
the IV bag, yeah.
This whole nonsense of trying to make, because she didn't call it, she did. She said it's Ivy. Maybe she didn't use the word point, like, she did, like they were trying to twist that into a bad thing. And I was like, no, this is what the power of editing does. Because you play these noises and things and you show Joey making a funny face and it comes off like she doesn't know what she's talking about. She knew exactly what she was doing and it was fabulous. And the fact that you were trying to kind of downplay it really kind of annoyed me. Because when she came out and that she just, the wig and her look, like, I was like, kudos to you, girl. You did exactly what you said you were going to do. You came out here and you looked fierce and you looked put together. So that was absolutely ridiculous. I honestly didn't think she should have been in the bottom at all. I also liked Body Bag, Got Milk's Body Bag. I love that. And Utica's Doggy Bag, I thought were fabulous. And I agree, Jackie, this was of the 3, this was hands down everybody's strongest. in my opinion. I mean, maybe not Lala.
Oh,
And I didn't get Tina's either. The brown bag, I kept looking at it going, huh? Like, I don't get this because you just.
I get it, but I just didn't care for it.
It didn't, yeah. It was like, whatever. Okay, so next was Money Bags. Jackie, who were your standouts in Money Bags?
I loved Denali's, but that's because like I love that it was like a Cruella de Vil nod. I just thought that was fun. Lala, I thought looked gorgeous. And this is what made me sad because it's like you can have two bad ones and one really amazing one, and you're still going to end up in the bottom, you know?
Yeah.
So Olivia, I thought looked gorgeous too with the like cape with the lining on the inside. It kind of reminded me of one of the outfits in Troop Beverly Hills, you know, these like very fashionable kind of like 90s cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And Rose, I loved hers because I love the movie Big Business. So I love the nod to the Bette Midler character. So even though I know they were saying, oh, you didn't go big enough with it, I still liked it. But as far as like the ones that I thought were the lowest, I actually didn't like Simone's because it didn't read as money bags to me. There were like holes in the outfit. So I'm like, if you're going to do a pantsuit, you know, make it look like Got Mixed pantsuit. Oh, which was also amazing. You know, that was also another amazing one. So if you're going to do a pantsuit, like why, if you're rich, why does it have holes? And I know she probably thought they were like aesthetic looking holes. It was just not for me. So
Ollie.
Let's see. Well, shout out to Utica. I liked Utica's in my all three tops because I feel like she just nailed every single one, every single category. They're all completely different. I feel like she was the one who transformed the most. The silhouette, like the way she just like wears the garments that she has, like she has to be in the top. And I'm glad she was in the top. She should have won, but I have to give it to Utica. I love the Chicago reference as well as the Carol Burnett reference. I mean, Gottmik was great too. I didn't really like. I think this is my least favorite category, so I don't really have like favorites. Some of them were just really boring. Like for example, like Elliot's. Elliot's was really boring. I know this is like pantsuits. This is like formal business money. I don't know. So I didn't really have favorites. They all look nice, beautiful gowns. But yeah, I have to give it to Utica though. Utica and Gottmik were my standouts.
Yeah, I think those were my two standouts. I would say Olivia Lux. I just thought it looked, you know, I like when they come out and you kind of see something that you haven't seen them like look like. And for Olivia, for me, I went, oh, that's different. Like, I like having that initial reaction to it, whether it's fierce, fabulous, and the best drag ever. To me, that doesn't always matter. I just like that there's a variety, especially in something like this. You get 3 chances on the runway. It's like, you give them 3 different things. Don't wear the same wig and, you know, just restyle something, you know? Interesting to me that no one has mentioned the amazing taste of Kandy Muse. That's just so weird to me.
I don't even remember what her first look was. I like honestly cannot remember what her first look was. The second one, like, I thought it was clever in the sense that it was different from the first one. Like, I mean, not different from the first one, different from the others in the category, like using literal money. Like, I do like a campy thing like that. But the problem was that the hat looked like a shower cap to me. So that's all I was thinking the whole time was like, why is she wearing, oh, it's money. It's not a shower cap. Okay.
Well, there was sarcasm in that. Sorry if it didn't translate.
Oh, no, it did.
Okay.
It did. I'm just giving them the reason why it's like, I don't know why you thought you were in the top. I don't know why.
You know, and again, you can think that and that's great. You should walk out on the runway feeling fabulous and fierce. But if they're not putting you in the top, there's a reason. Usually there's a reason. I can't always say there's some that do slip by that we're like, huh? But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. All right. And then for the constructed out of bags, did we agree with the top? Is there people that you thought should have been, because obviously in the Untucked, they all thought that they should have been in the top.
Oh my God.
I will say this. I liked Denali's like sugar skull thing. I thought it was like really cool and creative. And I loved Olivia Lux's outfit. I was like, how did you make this out of bags? I have no idea. But I think the problem was for those two was that I think the judges felt like their looks in the other categories weren't as strong as some of the other people's. And I think that's the only reason they kind of got in the middle, because those two looks I thought were very, very strong. I will say Utica was robbed, because I agree with Ollie, where it's like she gave 3 distinct looks.
Yeah.
That last look was freaking amazing. We're all going to remember how she made an elegant gown out of a sleeping bag. It's just crazy. And I did not like Gottmix at all. I did not think it was high fashion. It looked like plastic bags that you tied to yourself.
Yeah.
It really made me angry that I was like, how is this a top look? How? It's all because they liked that second look so much that they were willing to give her the benefit of the doubt on that last one. And then I think we all know it's like, well, bless your heart.
God.
Here's the thing. This is my proof that personality and charm goes a long way. I will tell you what, if I was at a club and she came out on that and performed the way that she performed, I wouldn't have gave 2 shits that she was wearing paper bags glued to her corset. You know what I mean? Like, that's the power of performance and charisma that you just can't learn. And I feel like certain other people coming out in that would have been the end of it, Sorry, Ollie, go ahead.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I was just disappointed that Tamisha didn't do well. I mean, was she in the bottom technically? I couldn't really tell. She was.
Yes,
she
she was in the bottom.
I guess her critique was that she overthought or overdid her constructed look. It looked great, but it wasn't that. I was like kind of underwhelmed. I was really thinking Tamisha was going to win this week, especially with this whole storyline with her and Kandy. I was like, oh my God, Tamisha, this is her challenge. She makes all of her garments. This is her week to win. So I was disappointed in that. And then I wanted Utica to freaking win. So of course, broken record. And then Gottmik, I like Gottmik. I love Gottmik. Do not get me wrong. But like, she was wearing like a string in comparison to the work that Utica did. And I think one of the queens said that Utica not only made that, but she was helping people all throughout make their look.
Some of that we did.
So like, I don't know. I didn't get it. I was really disappointed that Gottmik did. And then you bring up a good point, Jackie. Like, we're basing this off of a look that Gottmik didn't even create herself. Like, this was the construction week. I think they really needs to focus on the construction. So it was just a weird, it was just a weird outcome. But I really like, this is unpopular, I really like Elliot's pink cow look. I really like that look. I thought that was a lot of fun. But also, last thing I'll say, I was really annoyed with the queens who were saying, oh my God, I can't believe I'm safe. I'm like, dude, week 2. Just be happy that you're here another episode. Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. I was really annoyed by that. So how some of the queens were just really frustrated about being safe for the second week.
Yeah.
So, and those queens that were saying that were the queens that won the first lip syncs of the first episode. So I'm like,
except for Denali.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I liked Denali's dress. I didn't like all the shit all over her face. Like, I just didn't get, like, had this came off and she didn't have all that stuff all over her face, I thought she would have looked absolutely gorgeous. It just looked like a craft project. I'm sorry. I loved the dress and she did it well, but all of that, I was like, no.
Would you here's the thing is, like, she had to do, like, to get a sugar skull look, I think she had to do something to her face. Like, she had to have painted it to look like it. Maybe if she had painted it to look like a traditional, like, sugar skull painting, it would have worked better.
or influenced by it. Like, it doesn't have to be exact. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just don't have to always and we've seen that on the runway many, many times. So this is not a unique idea. You know, other queens have done that Day of Death look before. So I just wasn't as, I mean, she was so confident in herself. I was like, girl, come on. I think Tamisha's problem was that because she's wearing the breastplate. So when you wear a breastplate, you have to wear something to cover the top of the breastplate. So that's why she's always wearing a collar, which I also, you know, that I'm not a fan of. And who else was wearing their choker again in this episode? Who was wearing it?
I don't even remember.
Kandy, again, the same choker with no neck. So I think I think Carson said it, if this was smaller or gone and the cuffs were gone, I think Tamisha's would have been fine. I think she would have been safe. I do. I would have put it, if you asked, I would have put Simone in the bottom. Personally, nothing she did was, and again, I'm going to point it out because I think it's worth pointing out that she's getting by in a bra and a little wraparound skirt. At least Tamisha put together a crafted garment. At least Joey J put together a crafted art, you know, something, you know? Is it fair for this person, because they have this tiny little frame, you know, and they can walk out in this thing, is it fair to let that go all the time? I just don't think if it was somebody else, it would have been safe. And I hated the second look too, Jackie. So yeah, so that was the runway. We took it to the runway, took it to the runway.
I just have to say though, like Nicole Byers, when she was trying to tell Lala, like, why did you just put the bags on? I was like, girl, this is how we all are feeling right now. This is how we all are feeling. She was like, you literally just stuck them to your outfit.
Nicole is the voice of the people. Truly, she truly,
Yes.
everything she said, I was like, yep, what she said. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
That's why
I would love for her to replace Carson, to be honest. Like, I even love how she came into the save. She came to save Joey J. She was like, oh, you should have just lie and say that, yes, that was Ivy bag, poison Ivy bag. Just, she says what you're thinking nicely with some constructive criticism. I can't even say that word. So I would love for her to replace Carson. Sorry, Carson, not sorry.
Yeah. I love her. I really hope that they consider keeping her on as a permanent rotating judge, because I think she's great. It looks like the chat, it pretty much is agreeing with you, Ollie, that Utica deserved the win.
Oh, I think Utica deserved the win. I absolutely think that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Most of the fans that I've seen think Utica deserved the win. That last look from Got Mick, that's not even fair. It's like you didn't really construct anything.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like it's also this, we're gonna let it, you know, because she's got a tiny little frame and she can get away with like, you know what I mean? Like, I do feel like, you know, again, they call out these double standards all the time with the queens that don't have a lot of money to spend with, you know, the ones that do, and like, oh, I would be red for this and I would be red for that. Well, then I think it's fair that we call out these people that are getting by because they have a tiny little, like, you cannot deny that it is more work for somebody who does not have Simone's frame to do drag and be considered fierce and fabulous. I mean, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't, but it's like, you're going to have to be corseted. You're going to have hips on. You're going to have to, you know, really think about the silhouette that you're wearing if you want to look a certain way. Obviously, there's different kinds of drag with beards and whatever, you know, very androgynous drag. I'm not saying that they all have to be that way, but you know what I'm saying. It's like there's always this double standard in that regard as well. So I'm going to continue.
I think, well, it's interesting because I feel like Gottmik had like a small subplot in this about her going to fashion school.
Yeah.
So, we got to give it to Gottmik this week because she went to fit him. So, you know, I think that was a bit of it, to be honest. Not even saying that. Are kidding me? I was Team Utica, but I think that's kind of like for storyline purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that they are being a bit easy on Mick because they don't want to deal with the backlash from the fans?
I don't even think I just don't get it, because it's like the judges clearly love her, and there's a way to say that you love like outfits A and B, but maybe not C, and you didn't really do the challenge, which, I mean, to me, what people should have really looked at was that last look, you know, and not to excuse away the first two looks, but I mean, the sewing challenge was the hardest. So I just felt like Gottmik didn't even rise to a semi-bar. It wasn't even like Tamisha, where like, yes, maybe, you know, she had the wrong accessories or something, but she constructed something.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way to be able to say, I love that Gottmik did XYZ, but this wasn't her challenge. You know, I don't even think, I think you can say that without making fans angry. You can still say, you know, like, we love her, she's still here.
Yeah.
She had some safe looks and now she's safe.
And again, we're going to quote Nicole Byer because she is the queen of all queens now. She even said on the panel, the fact that Utica made that outfit in the same amount of time that Lala glued bags to a corset. And you could say the same thing about Gottmik. You did that, you cut triangles and strapped them to your leg in the same amount of time. She constructed that thing. Like, it can be said both ways. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, again, they pick and choose what they want, but, you know. So Gottmik, Utica, and Rosé were in the top. You guys, we've talked a little bit about Rosé. I don't know why I just feel like I'm seeing, again, like Jan, I'm seeing things that she thinks you want to see, not things that she embodies her as a queen. That's just me. I don't know. I'm just not, it just seems so forced, and like I watched the show and I took notes, and this is how I'm going to proceed with this challenge, not, oh, this is what I'm Lorayne, and oh, I have to do a look for money bags. Okay, well, let's go in my closet and see what I got. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's so different. I don't know.
I disagree. I mean, because I think that, for example, the Scottish one that I loved, I mean, she said she was born in Scotland. So like, she leaned into her heritage for that one. And that one became, I mean, as far as I can tell online, a fan favorite one. So it just showed that the moment she really leaned into something that was personal to her, the audience reacted well to that. And so I think it's just a matter of, is she going to continue to do that throughout the season, is like lean into stuff that means something personally to her, or not, you know? So I think the more she does that, the more people will respond to that.
Okay, and maybe I will too. I'm just really having a hard time like vibing with her, but that's me. Whatever.
I really like her. I think I like her more than Jan, to be honest. Like, I feel like they're two completely different queens. But also, I feel like Rosé's kind of just been in the background recently, just due to editing. I don't know. We just haven't seen a lot from her other than her being in the top. I didn't even think she was going to be in the top, to be perfectly honest. But and I haven't been a fan of her looks. But this week, I was like, oh my God, Rosé's doing pretty good, you know? So I don't know. I feel like I just haven't seen enough from her.
Okay.
I don't know, but she's definitely warming up to me. But it was cool to see her like do her Scottish heritage. To do to Bette Midler, one of her like favorite movies, she said. So it's like, okay, we're seeing like something a little bit personal from her, and also she did like the futuristic look. So yeah, she did pretty good this week.
I mean, it was okay for me. I don't know. Again, it's just me, my opinion, I'm just not vibing with her.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I always say, I love when someone surprises me. I love when something clicks, and I'm hoping that there is a moment where I'm like, okay, that was fabulous. That, like, her runway back on the like first or second episode when she came out for the day and night, her night look, that was amazing. I loved that. I loved it. And I said that, I loved it. So I just want I guess I want more of that, where I want to be like surprised, and I don't know. It just seemed, I don't know. So Tamisha ended up being safe. She was in the bottom 3 with Lala Ree and Joey J. Joey J.
I'm glad she was safe, because I was going to be really mad that she constructed a dress that was actually a dress, and then the idea of her to like be in the bottom based on that was just going to make me mad.
Yeah, absolutely. What is this? Hold on, let me read this because this just popped up. No, I'm going to mess up how to say their name. Novella Cos.
I think it's Nouvelle Cos.
Nouvelle Cos. It's probably French and I should know it, but whatevs. For younger queens or those not performing for long, it takes time for most people to really develop a strong sense of self and not be formulaic. I love that. It's a big word. I think that's true. And I do think, again, it's like you look back, I really do wish that, I get it, it's TV. They want queens that don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying I want to break the mold, but if it was a true contest, I feel like it should be queens who've been doing drag for X amount of years. Like you have to have done drag for 5 or 6 years, be a regular in a cast to be on the show. Just because I think I think that's why, like with UK, the first couple seasons, these are queens that genuinely do this and have been doing it for decades. So you just get a different vibe from them than somebody who's just put it on for a year and is coming. I don't know. I'm always going to defend the legacy.
But they can't
But then what's your take on people like Violet Chachki? But then what's your take on people like Violet Chachki or people like Aquaria who hadn't been doing drag that long during their season, but people saw them as like fashion icons,
If this was a fashion show, then superb. But they're also 2 people that I don't think should have won their seasons.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, again, it's what you want. I get it. And I get you want different winner. Like, I understand the logistics of it. Like, I'm not an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not acting like I'm completely a buffoon and I don't know how Hollywood works and how casting and things work. I completely get it. This is just my perfect world that I would like to live in. And if everybody could just leave me alone and all the people that I want to win, then I would be happy. So they did Fancy by Iggy Azalea. And Lala Ree kind of handed it to Joey J, which I think even Joey J knew was going to happen.
I still think that was a fun lip sync, though.
It totally was.
It wasn't like Charlie Hides, I'm gonna stand there, or like Valentina, like please let me keep my mask on. Like I think Joey J did give some like really fun performance, but I just think I think Lala just stepped it up that extra notch. Right. And I had fun watching them both because I thought they were doing a good job of interacting with each other.
Me too. Well, go ahead.
Joey J looked like Iggy Azalea, but also I love that Lala Ree used Joey J's own little
money.
gag.
It was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is like it took Joey J throwing the money. But again, I feel like this is also something that a queen who's been doing it, she didn't miss the beat. She got it. She's like, oh, something I can do to get, you know what I mean? Like, that is talent. You know what I mean? Like, she did not miss a beat on that. So, all right. That was pretty much it. We have a couple more important things to discuss. 2 very different things. The first thing that I just wanted to touch on, because it was discussed, because when this was being filmed, I think, was right around or right immediately after the Black Lives Matter marches and everything everywhere. So there was a moment where we saw Simone and Tamisha and LaLa Ri, you know, talk about their experiences and things in the shooting that happened in Atlanta. And, you know, LaLa Ri saying, you know, that could have been me. That could have been that completely, and it could have been, could be any of them. I'm glad that they did talk about it. I felt like they did it in a good way by letting those queens be the ones to talk about it.
And if you guys, Tez does his own separate, singular, shorter Drag Race recap. And if you want to go to his channel, The Lean, and he gives his thoughts on this as well. It's a short, like 20-minute recap. Please just check it out.
I'm going to put the link in the bio.
I think you guys will appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's really important, especially for, you know, Black queer people, Black trans people, because a lot of times, especially I remember during that whole, that was last year, crazy to think that was just like last year. That seems like so long ago, but you know, a lot of queer Black people and a lot of trans Black people didn't feel like they were invited into Black Lives Matter. So when you're marching with Black Lives for Black Lives Matter, it's all Black lives. Hence why you have to add all lives to Black Lives Matter. So just like, I feel like everyone needs to remember that, all the allies, it's like all Black lives. So if you're gonna march for the straight Black lives, you're also marching for the trans Black lives and the queer Black lives. So I think that's super, super important. I'm glad that they really shed the light on this for this episode. And it was really heartbreaking just like to see LaLa Ri like break down. It was so heartbreaking, just kind of like thinking like how close she was to the shooting in Atlanta, where it's like, that's a huge Black population, you know? So I couldn't only imagine like what that was like for her. So it was a very touching episode.
I will close this on a quote from the legendary Tamisha Ihman. We are one, we fight as one, and we fail as one, which I thought was very well said by Tamisha in that episode. All right, so let's get into Tamisha and Kandy Untucked. I wish I had that on there. I don't really know where to start. I mean, everybody obviously saw the Untucked and knows how things transpired. I'll start with this. The argument from Tina Burner in the workroom was that she doesn't understand how this got from A to B. That all they did was say who's in the top and who's in the bottom. Now, if you ask the queens, so what happens in Untucked? They're going to say, well, we talk about who's in the top, who's in the bottom, and how we feel about that. Tamisha says, I think I wrote it down. The question posed by Tina, I wrote this down. Is that right? In reference to being that, like, they guessed who was in the top and who was the bottom. So Tina said, is that right? Tamisha says, and there's like, they all like, yeah. Then Tamisha says, at the end of the day, I will speak for myself. And then she goes into saying how she felt. And she was actually saying, you know, even the queens that I don't like did better than me. And I'm willing to admit that. You know, I'm a different kind of queen. This is what I do, blah, blah. So Tamisha didn't take it from point A to point B. Kandy took it from point A to point B, in my opinion. How do you guys feel?
I agree. And I think part of that was Tamisha, because she's an older queen, is able to say things in a detached manner. So she can say, you know, I don't like some of these people, but, you know, it is what it is. Versus Kandy, who, when Tamisha said that, you know, and said, like, you know, I felt like you were behaving arrogantly, Kandy took it personally.
Yeah.
You know, and she took it personally, and that's when she got angry. And it's like, she, up until this point, she had been like dragging Elliott with 2 T's through the mud, where it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Maybe you sang once or twice, oh, well, I felt like Elliott should be in the bottom, but that's not what I was seeing. What I was seeing was her, every time anything was mentioned, saying like, well, Elliott shouldn't be here. Elliott should go home. And I do feel like maybe part of Tamisha was like reacting to the fact that it's like, okay, well, you haven't got your own house in order, and now you're going out here and trying to like bully other queens when it's like you've been in the middle of the pack. So why don't you take a minute to like reassess yourself? And I do think some of that, like we've seen this happen with some of the younger queens along the way, where it's like, you know, you're first doing something like Mark says, you're feeling like super fabulous about it. And it can be hard to go out into the world and see like, okay, I've got some real competition now. And like, either you can like bring your ego down and readjust and try and say, okay, like I'm going to fight harder, or you can just get mad about it. And so like, she had those 2 choices. She had the choice to either, you know, like humble up a little bit and reassess, or to just get mad when she was called out. And then the older queens, it's like, they've been through all these pageants, they've experienced all these losses. So they know, like when they go out into the world, like, okay, I'm, you know, and I'm not going to win every challenge. And this is what Tamisha was trying to say, is like, I'm going to have good days, I'm going to have bad days in this. And I understand like my strengths might be here in one challenge and there in another. So that's kind of how I saw it, where I do think Kandy needs to do, you know, like some reassessing to say like, okay, now that I'm out in the like the big players world, like how can I reassess? But I just want to say right now on the show, you guys, we have to stop. If you don't like a queen, and we say this all the time, just say this person isn't my cup of tea and move on with your life. Like the fact that like Kandy's mom is being harassed, Kandy is being harassed, you know, she might not be my favorite queen, but I'm not going to go slide into her DMs and tell her nasty shit. Like that's not appropriate. The world is full of all kinds of different people, and you're not going to agree with them all. And like the moment you make peace with that is the moment like your life will feel better, you know?
Yes, Jackie, preach. No, I love that you mentioned that. I think that's a really important component to touch on. Even like, I think Mark, you sent me that thing from World of Wonder, how they're like, if you don't like our queens, STFU, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So it's like even the, you know, wow, I can't even say wow, I'm just gonna call it wow.
Yeah.
And Drag Race themselves are kind of like trying to take that initiative to protect their cast, you know, because this crazy fandom. And yeah, I agree. Kandy's not one of my favorites. I was team Tamisha Ihman all the way. I think Kandy, to me, I think she, in a way, she has a huge ego, but also it's almost as if it's like she's insecure or something, because she's trying to put bad attention, negative attention towards other people, like Elliott, for example, like, as you were saying, Jackie, like she's trying to throw people under the bus to get the attention away from her or something. Yeah. I mean, she even like first episode, she kind of badmouthed Aja, you know, like her mom, right? That's Aja's her drag mom. So there is that level of arrogance. There is that level of like, why are you trying to bring down other people so you can bring yourself up? So to me, like, I don't even get angry at Kandy. I almost feel sorry that she's doing that. At least that's like my whole perspective. You know, maybe I could be completely wrong, but like, I feel like Kandy's also that queen that she can dish it, but she cannot take it. Yeah. You know, she cannot take it. She's saying, say it to my face, but when Tamisha says it to her face, she blows up. And Kandy, she will just raise her voice. You can't even hear what she's saying. You can't even understand it because, like, one, she's not enunciating, but also like she's just trying to be louder than other queens to completely overshadow them. When I want to hear what Tamisha has to say, you know. So that's kind of like my whole issue with the whole fight. There's lots of thoughts, but definitely, as Jackie said, don't send hate. It's a reality television show. I was thoroughly enjoyed this Friday, and it's something to talk about on Sundays with you guys. So do not send hate.
Yeah, I think Samantha Minter in the chat also said, you know, she thought it was insecurity as well, which it is. It completely is. That's, you know, they say that all the time. When somebody's bullying you in school, it's because of their insecurities, you know? So it is Kandy's insecurities completely. I agree, you know, we shouldn't be like going after people's families and stuff. That's just in general, like the fact that you spent time going through her Instagram to find a picture with her mom that her mom was tagged in so that you could message her mother. I mean, I don't know that that's what happened.
Get a hobby. Get a hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
We really need things to do. Do I think I have a little bit of a different opinion about Kandy being on Twitter and commenting on people writing bad comments to her? Well, you did sign up for a reality show. You did say the things that you said on the reality show. You're now on Twitter reiterating the things that you said on the show. And again, you don't want people to comment back. That's where I'm kind of like, well, you're all doing exactly what you did on the show. You're antagonizing. You're able to say what you want. You're able to say, you know, woe is me. But when somebody wants to call you out and point the finger at you, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, but again, you did sign up for it. And if you didn't want it, then be like, you know what, I'm gonna just stay off Instagram and Twitter for the next couple weeks till this blows over and be away with it. Pay somebody to run your Twitter if you need to tweet out what shows you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, stay away from it. Don't get in. That's what I have to do, because I do take things very personally. That's why, yes, Jackie. I'm like, Jackie, can you go through the comments, please? Because I don't want to do it. It's hard for me to read, even that somebody hates my laugh. It's a dagger in my fucking gut, you know? So I choose to stay away from it. I can relate to a lot of what Tamisha says, because we're about the same age. And I do think age and experience, you can just tell like how Tamisha handled it. And I will point out, because somebody in the chat asked that we discuss this as well, which I do kind of want to get a little thing in here on Gottmik and Tina Burner, who were trying to turn this on Tamisha. And when Gottmik jumps up and tells Tamisha to quit going after her, to quit antagonizing her, I thought that was completely uncalled for, because if you're going to do it to Tamisha, then you need to be saying the exact same thing to Kandy, who got up and threatened to hit another contestant. Like, I'm sorry, Gottmik. There, you know, and it is this little clique that's forming with Gottmik and Kandy and Tina, and they're all going to stick up for each other, and that's fine. But I'm going to call you out on it, because that's not okay that you're going to sit there and kind of put Tamisha in this bad light, like she's doing something wrong. I thought Tamisha handled that with so much class. I'm sorry. She, you know, just stood there and she listened and she spoke eloquently. I just thought, yeah.
I think the other thing, you know, that some people mentioned to me on social media was, where are the people who work for the show? Because I know we're in COVID times, and you know, you're not supposed to get too close to people or whatever, and all the producers and the people who work on the show are all wearing like visors and masks and everything. But there still has to be somebody there that can jump into a scene and help cool it down, because I feel like we were this close to having a queen punch another queen, and like that, it shouldn't have gotten that close. You know, we should have had, because when you watch other reality TV shows, there's usually some sort of like supervising producer or somebody there on the set that can, one that works with each one of them, that says, hey, come on over here, you know? Like, Kandy was so mad and she was getting so much in her face, and I'm just glad nothing happened, but it's like, where is the staff to help people out?
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Ollie, do you have anything else you want to add?
I just love Tamisha so much. Like, she was such a boss. I love how she just stood her ground. And like you said, she handled herself. She wasn't scared. She's been doing this for years. And she really, I honestly think Kandy needed to hear that. Kandy needed someone to stand up to her in that moment because no one, I feel like every other queen in that room isn't afraid of Kandy, but they just don't want to like stand up to her and tell her, like, take her down a peg, you know? Maybe they are afraid, who knows? Well, but I was so happy that Tamisha did that because hopefully that kind of like slaps Kandy in the face, metaphorically, to kind of like simmer down. You know, this is a competition. It's not the Kandy show.
Yeah.
By any means. And it's okay. This is what the queens are gonna do. They're gonna share their opinions, and Kandy needs to take constructive criticism or just criticism in general, for crying out loud. You know, she can't just victimize herself.
Well, look
she kind of did
at the episode. It was the second episode when the queens were competing and they ended up having like the winners lip sync and not the losers. Kandy was in tears, like, so like, I can't go home, like, blah, 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 freaked out, like, oh my God, I'm horrible, blah, blah. And it's just like, and I'm not putting her down, like, I don't want to kick her while she's down, but it's like she picks and chooses what she wants. Tamisha said it, I wrote it down. You can say what you want to say, but nobody else can say what they want to say. That's completely, absolutely 1000% true. And if Kandy's trying to say that that's not the case, that's an absolute lie. And I love that when she says, you know, I just want to know if you see me acting like I'm arrogant, then you tell me. And Tamisha went, I did. That's where this all started, is because I did exactly what you're asking me to do, and now you don't like it. So, you know, have at it. This is my chihuahua. And also, I want to point out that when somebody apologizes by saying, if you took it as an attack, I apologize, that's not an apology. If you were hurt by this, I apologize. That's not an apology. An apology is, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I did the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Not, I'm only sorry if it hurt you. When you put a stipulation on an apology, that's not an apology. Thank God. Button. Oh, Winston Montgomery. You agree? All right. I think we've said enough we need to say on that. Agreed? All right. I would say, if you guys have questions for us, there's something we didn't talk about, write it in the chat room now, and we'll get to it as soon as we're done with these next couple segments. Just so you know, I wrote down next week is going to be a dancing documentary on disco. And it appears that there will be more Kandy and Tamisha drama.
Excited.
As well. Yeah, I'm excited. And I will do, okay, so I'm gonna do, I don't know if Tez is in here, but Tez wanted me to share his quote of the week. He called me on his way out of town just to give me his quote of the week. His goes to Tamisha when she says, I'm a grown-ass woman. Which I love that she kept referring to herself as a grown-ass woman. I absolutely love that. And I agree with you, Tez. That was great. But it's not my quote of the week. My quote of the week goes to, and again, if Tamisha and Lala go away, I'm screwed. I'm completely screwed for quotes of the week. I'm just saying that. So my quote of the week goes to Miss Lala Ree when she says, Lord, bitch, not bitch. You know you're not a bitch, Lord.
Somebody also, it's not a quote of the week, but it was like a moment when Kandy and Tamisha are fighting. Somebody on Twitter pointed this out and I retweeted it. But Lala's like brushing a wig just to listen to them, but she wasn't wearing a wig in that scene at all. So it's like she was just doing it just to like kind of come over and listen.
Yeah. There's that meme that you shared with me. I had actually already retweeted it before you tagged me in it. There's a cute meme out there, a little video of Lala Ree watching the fight. It's actually really some guy in his yard. It's really funny, so look for it. It's on my Twitter and Jackie's if you want to see it. I also thought it was really funny when Joey J came out in her second look and Rue said, I spy with my working eye. Sorry, I guess there was a lot this week. There was a lot. Jackie, who's our fans of the week?
So we have 2 fans of the week. And if you guys comment on YouTube or iTunes, you too could be fan of the week. The first fan is Jamie DK. Said, this is from on last week's episode. Did anyone else clock that Elliot's bodysuit looks like Shay's from season 9's White Ball Runway? I don't know. I don't remember.
Say it again. Did it look like whose?
Elliot's bodysuit from the last episode looked like Shay's from season 9's White Ball Runway.
Oh.
I'll have to Google Shay's look because I don't remember Shay's look.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up.
I know somebody commented on that look of Elliot's and said that she bought it on Fancy Alley, which is here in LA, downtown LA. I don't know if that's true, so maybe they both bought the same.
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Quest 870 is our other fan of the week. Was wondering why no one did a wedding look because of a wedding train for
right.
And
right.
I thought, yeah, I mean somebody I think should have done that too.
Yeah.
So
I will actually, this is something else that I wanted to say that somebody wrote in the chat. No questions for us, but I just want to share this. It's Bia Franco is commenting about Kandy getting bookings now. And I was going to say the exact same thing. It's like, look, you can do it. Go on the show, do what you want to do. But you might want to have a conversation with Fifi O'Hara if you want to continue acting the way that you're acting, because we know how that turned out for her and other queens who have had the same thing. So you can, have your attitude, go out there, scream and yell, threaten to hit people. But when it comes down to, and was it Chucky Chuck that said about Aja? I said right in the comments what Aja said. And he said that he heard that Aja was saying, now you all see why people didn't want to work with her because of her attitude and stuff like that. And even, Tina Burner says it in like last week, I think she says, I was really worried seeing Kandy here because of her reputation in New York. But now I'm a fan of Kandy Muse and blah, 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 and she jokes about it. So there's actually, this is not a new thing. This is who she's presented. All right. Some news, nothing really major news and gossip, but just want to remind everybody to check out Drag Race UK. It is fabulous. I love it more and more every episode. Ollie, do you agree?
Oh yes, last episode was a shocker. No spoilers, but I'm definitely already in love with like all the queens.
So it's I'm so like, oh when I watched them Meet the Queens, I was like, I don't know. And every week there's like another one that I'm like, oh, I like her now too. I like it took a little bit longer for me to warm up to, but I am again obsessed with Drag Race UK. So if you need any more motivation to pay for a subscription to WoW Presents Plus, do it. It's worth it because it's amazing. I love it. And then you'll get to see Spain when it comes out and Down Under when it comes out and the next season of Canada and on and on and on and on. So it will be a well worth investment. Also, I said this earlier, Jackie mentioned Tez did a recap of this episode because he had a lot of views and opinions he wanted to share. He did send me that link, so I will add it to the bio in this at some point tonight after I feed and walk the dogs. But yeah, that's
and vote. You guys vote for Jayla for the Queer Tea Awards.
Yes.
And also buy her makeup. I'm wearing her new lipstick.
Yes. Batme Cosmetics. I don't know why.
Batme Cosmetics.
You can vote every day. Vote every day for Jayla. Right. And it's also happy birthday to Peppermint.
Oh, happy birthday, Peppermint! Yay! We love Pep. She's always so sweet to us. Is she not? We go to DragCon. She's always so wonderful to us. We love Pep. We like the ones that are nice to us. I'll tell you. DM me if you want to know who it is.
We had on Mikhail on our show, and his reality show is also up for a Queer Tea Award. So on Mikhail.
Oh yeah.
So his show is up for a Queer Tea Award as well. So you guys should vote for his show too. Please.
I love On. He's
a really sweet guy.
I just messaged him the other day. I'm like, now the bars are open. We need to go get wine. He's like, yes. So yeah, so do we want to make a prediction of who goes home next week? The worst part of our show, having to
I
get-
know. I
So
feel
let's
like
do it.
season I feel like I'm partying with my children. I want Kandy to go home. That's what I want.
I think everybody wants Kandy to go home at this point, but I don't think that's realistic. But
No, I don't think because they want to keep her for the
and they all like her. You know,
Yeah.
Ru laughs at everything she says. So
Well, it's a dancing. Remember, it's a dancing challenge, disco next week. So keep that in mind.
so who's
Um,
Elliot's a dancer. Tamisha's a
Uh-huh.
dancer. Lala's a dancer. Maybe Got Mick. I don't think Got Mick will go home.
No, I don't think Got Mick will go home at that point.
Who? Oh,
is Olivia a dancer?
who?
Olivia?
Olivia, is she a
I don't
dancer?
know.
No, she did. Remember, she did really well in that group of winners challenge. She was in the top.
Oh.
Um,
Maybe Denali is because Denali does ice skating, but ice skating doesn't necessarily translate to dancing.
maybe Utica.
So-
I don't know. Maybe Utica. I
Oh
hate
no! I think
No, Utica can't go home after she was robbed.
salt in the wounds. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think Olivia might go home. I know it's shocking. I think it's gonna be a shocking elimination. I think she's kind of faded into the background, and when that happens to a queen, I don't want her to go home, but I don't know.
If I'm
People are saying Elliot. What do you guys think about that?
I was just gonna
She's a
say
dancer.
if I look at because the show kind of has given their hand a couple times this season. I feel like they're showing their hand. They kind of tell us, unless there's like a shocking elimination, which is possible. I'm gonna say it's gonna be who are the bottom people? Elliot, unfortunately, Tamisha. Who else is a Utica? Rose. Those were all the bottom queens from that are and
But I feel, aren't Tamisha and Rose, didn't they do well in the last like dancing challenge?
And
Yeah.
I'm saying based on them showing their hand, those are the people that were in the bottom. So maybe these will be the people that will be going home unless there's a shocker.
Right. And I think last thing I'll say is that I think if a queen is able to kind of incorporate their aesthetics, such as Utica, like wiggle to the top, if she makes like if she puts Utica into like the dance choreography, or any queen for that matter, I think that could potentially save them.
Yeah.
So like thinking in terms of just not being like be able to dance like ha ho ha. I don't know what that was. But but like if they can incorporate some kind of camp element into their dance and just kind of be themselves and not think about it too much, like, oh, I have to look good as a dancer. No, put your brand into it. So maybe that could save the weaker dancers,
Yeah,
so to speak.
for sure.
I just have one more thing I want to plug. Sorry, you guys. A good friend of mine owns a haunted tour company in New Orleans. And because of COVID, there's not much tourism happening. So they started a podcast called Hottest Hell Presents. And they're also selling t-shirts on their Hottest Hell Presents website. The t-shirts are super soft. I bought a whole bunch of them. But the big news is this week is that they also have a Patreon. It's the lowest level is like $3 a month to join, which is like really inexpensive. And they do secret podcasts on their Patreon. So there's the big, long public podcast, which has like the hour-long podcast episode with scary stories. But this week there was a scary story featuring drag queens. So if you wanted to join their Patreon, it was actually, I don't want to give too much away about the story, but it was a real story that happened that kind of mirrors something that happened in Pose. So it made me think, I wonder if this is where they got that from Pose. And I'm not going to give away any more because it was just a quick little story, but it was a really intriguing one. And they talk about ball culture in this little podcast too. So
yeah. I will just also read one more thing from the chat from Adrian Celeste, who points out that the first two queens to go home were from the Pork Chop Lounge. So we'll see if they're just going to check off the Pork Chop Lounge queens as we go. So
that's so sad.
Prepare yourselves for disappointment. I have a feeling. So
I don't know about that. I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jackie, where can they find you when you're not here on Sundays at 3?
At 123 Jackie B on all platforms.
And Ollie.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Ollie Dreamer.
And you can find me on the Instagram and Twitter at the March A. Freeman. And when I cross-dress at Lorayne Love. Thank you everybody for joining the chat. And again, we're like 4 subscribers away from 200 subscribers. So please subscribe to our channel.
Tell your friends.
And share it. Please share the link so other people can join. We would love to have more people in the chat. We had 40 people today. That's great. So let's get it up to like 140.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for joining us live. We love you. We do this every week for you. Stay tuned next week. We'll be back with Moa, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Drag Race TV LA on YouTube.